health, mentorship, and networking stand as pillars that support the growth and development for future leaders. These elements create a nurturing environment where emerging professionals can gain insights, acquire skills, and connect with established figures in the field. So, our next panel discussion has the topic of mentorship and networking, fostering growth and development for future public health leaders. Our moderator for this session is, I'm going to be welcoming back to the stage from yesterday, Dr. Osama Kandelaft, alongside his panelists of Tony Sorensen, Dr. Basma Khandura, Catherine Vayar, and Dr. Sunil Reddy Bondapanu. Put your hands together for this panel. And one more chair.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone again today. So we have an incredible panel, incredible group of people here today to talk about, networking, mentorship, what that means to kind of establish yourself at least within a particular field, but also how to develop a particular idea, network, connect, and grow future leaders within the spaces that we are specialized in. So we're actually just going to start off with introducing, our first panelist as well. Dr. Sunil, if you want to just take it away, introduce yourself, and we'll move down the line.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Sunil Reddy. I'm founder and CEO of New Shift Technologies, where we build a unified healthcare platform where all the healthcare stakeholders is going to connect, collaborate, and engage with the patients for building a stronger community towards a better patient care.
Hi, my name is Catherine Weyer. I'm the founder and CEO of Provalea practices, which are practices for speech, learning, and occupational therapy, and I come from Germany.
Hello, everyone. It's working. Good morning. My name is Basma Khandura. I'm a dentist by profession. I'm also a general manager within the Business Partnerships Executive Department within the Saudi Commission for Health Specialties. I come from Saudi Arabia.
Marhaba. Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Sorensen. I came from a medicine background, working my life towards life science, not really liking what I saw, and I decided to start my own business. So I'm the founder of 75 Pharma, which is a really seriously impact-driven pharmaceutical company, and I'm really pleased to be here.
And I'm Dr. Osama Kandelaft. I'm a medical professional, primary care professional up in the United States, an assistant professor in internal medicine as well, starting my own qualitative and more holistically focused medical clinic out here in the UAE, kind of returning back home. I'm from the Middle East myself. So, we have, again, a highly distilled, version of what everybody's done so far, but like our Zoom talk, the first one that we all jumped on, took maybe about like an hour and a half, actually just sitting and exploring everybody's history. So like this 1 to 2 minute discussion in terms of, who everybody is just this incredibly distilled form, and hopefully we can kind of glean some experiences from you guys just in your fields of specialty and how they all interconnect. I think just to kind of start off, the idea behind building a future leader starts off with kind of understanding who we are in general, what our goals are, what our purpose is, what impact we want to really drive in the community that we are focused on. So just gonna open it up and guys jump on in. I may even start with Katrin and Dr. Sunil as well, just with your experiences being within rigid organizations and structures. How has that affected your goal and purpose in terms of?
Yeah, there is a clear divide between senior, junior, and early stage practitioners. So there is a structured format where we can't access the main chief consultant because they can't openly ask the question. I feel there is a need to transform that into let's make it more open between all the stakeholders.
Yeah, I think I will start with an issue in my country. So we have a huge lack of young professionals in speech and occupational therapy, which is really bad because we want to provide good therapy to our patients who are really in need. So I think, as you said, we have to start with ourselves, being good leaders. And what does it mean? So for me, it also means to have a purpose at first, to have a vision, but also to give the opportunity to to the employees to build up their own purpose and vision, to provide good therapy. You know, I think only happy therapists can provide good therapy. And because of that problem that we have with gaining new or young professionals, I think it's also very important to have a good mentorship system. For example, we're doing a method or a concept to onboard new employees, like an onboarding system also for therapists, and to guide young professionals through the profession. You know, when you start working, you need a hand, a helping hand, and guidance.
And that mentorship system, you know, comes in at least through that guidance. You know, when somebody's first starting off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, to have that mentorship that really guides you through that rigid structure and system to see how things develop from start to finish within the institution that we have. Dr. Sunil, from your experience as well, you know, talking about internship through residency forward into consultancy, that's kind of what that structure is.
From my internship and through my graduation and early experience, like we were able to connect and engage with peers, but seriously, it was very difficult to go on the top. Like we can't access them for mentorship, or we can't ask directly, because there is a barrier which is there where we can only talk about basic principles and everything. But I really feel from bottom of my heart it has to be changed. Like we need to be more open, where we can connect to anybody, where we can ask people for a mentorship. Because mentorship, like we need to seek expertise, we need to seek excellence, and we need to seek the collaboration. So that is where I feel there is a need.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm just thinking from the mentorship perspective that it's really super important also to discuss how an organization adopts mentorship. And I think it should be viewed from a non-silo perspective. So you don't have, you know, a mentorship from the top just sending signals down. You need different stages and different parts of the organization adopting that as well.
My perspective is like mentorship is like you can travel along with them. It is not like somebody knows better or somebody knows less. Like everybody knows everything, but mentorship is about way to act upon, when is the right time to act upon, and what is the right action. Like it helps us to measure the action. Like knowledge is what we know. Mentorship, where we need to apply. Mentorship is all about action, where we need to apply that. So that is missing in our culture.
Being a dentist by profession, as well as a general manager in both the government and private sector, I had the opportunity of working in a micro level industry, and then moving up towards the macro level industry, where things are more on a strategic level, and that gave me the opportunity to see the differences between those two levels, and how implementation of mentorship, leadership, and so on is important throughout the levels, starting from the macro all the way up to the micro level. Another perspective is that international part of my work is knowledge sharing and international relationships and collaborations. Having said that, it is not just within the healthcare. We are actually by just looking at healthcare, we are limiting ourselves. Part of the innovation is actually looking at other industries and how they do it. So for example, the gas industry and the petroleum industry have a washing machine, so to speak, where they put people into rigorous leadership and mentorship programs. No one goes around without having those skills being developed, just the way they are developed in their hard skills, which is the healthcare aspect of it. They are as well developed in their soft skills. So they have coaches, they have all that kind of training. Otherwise, they don't go up the ladder and excel in their work. So that's also something that I think we should keep into consideration and look at, not to limit ourselves into the innovation of healthcare, but actually enjoying this opportunity right now where we have other conferences going on and learning from them, whether it's education, CXO, and so on.
I'm with you. I think just the first starting point for anybody who comes in wanting to do a particular goal, at least my own personal example of wanting to do medicine, the base knowledge is probably the most important aspect to it, learning and getting that experiential build-up, having those people guide you through up until you can start to see the cracks and deficits within the system that you're working in. And through that, obviously collaborating with people that are inside your immediate circle. We tend to do that, at least as providers, practitioners. We stick in with other providers, practitioners, and learn some bits from them here and there. But in talking with somebody from pharmaceutical, talking to somebody who does international relationships, looks at industries like the oil industry, even though you have the MD behind your name as well. Somebody working in speech occupational therapy, but also expanding that opportunity to speech pathologists and occupational therapists. And similarly with yourself, Dr. Sunil. So that starts to build up, I think, through particular mentorship. I wonder.
But there's one other point, if I may, is that we should always, also going back to the micro to macro level, I found that if you want people to actually do their best, they have to understand the vision, where they're going, and believe in it. So part of the leadership and mentorship is actually as your role as a leader or a mentor within your organizations. You have to, is basically letting the people who are your team understand the vision, believe in it, and work hard. And trust me, they will work very hard to getting to that goal. Coming from a country who is doing a whole transformation in so many aspects, including healthcare, where they want to transform the healthcare by 2030. I am telling you, where we are right now, since 2016 until now, all the accomplishments that Saudi Arabia have done and more is because people actually believe in that vision and work hard to get there. They wholeheartedly believe in it. That is key.
So can I ask, what is it that you guys see as, how do you achieve that mental or that moral goal, that moral compass? How do you align it to be able to, or how do you communicate that to people who you interact with? To say, how do you find that moral compass to guide you into that right direction?
It has a lot to do with your emotional intelligence and knowing your team, knowing how to get to them. Some people react perfectly and amazingly with benefits. Some actually no. They react in another way. But as I said, believing in that goal would actually give a kick to going the extra mile to get there. Talking to them from a patriotic perspective, from a better future for not just this generation, the one after and the one after and the one after, finding better healthcare for your children, your grandparents, and so on. Talking to that culture and knowing how to talk to that culture is key. And I'm sure being diverse and international, you all know the keys to your own people and your own culture, But from my perspective and what I've noticed going through my work as international collaboration and strategic relationships, I found that we are more similar. We are so much more similar than diverse. We have like the values go in the same direction in almost all countries and all cultures.
There's one of my mentors, back from when I moved from Ireland over to the States, who told me if it is good, if it feels good, then it is good. As in, if the intention is altruistic and good, then it is good. As the most distilled form. Tony, you've had a fairly unique experience, at least in this space as well, which if you feel comfortable sharing, would love to hear your perspective on it too, or to share with the...
Yeah, I think there's a huge challenge in terms of the mentorship, especially since you mentioned transformation processes, and I know this firsthand very well, that I've been working in life science for some time, trying to adopt new business practices into life science, which has been completely static, not open for dynamic, not open for change, which I think is sad. But I want to end this comment with a really positive note that things are changing. So transformational process, especially in large organizations, are extremely challenging. And we see this because from an executive level, we have people looking at quarterly reports, they are looking at the metrics of the financials, and you don't actually measure the success of a company through the eyes of altruism, mentorship. So I think that, what we see is the kids, the future executives, they have a completely different view of this. They don't have at all the same finite mindset of ruling the world through a company and the quarterly reports. They have a completely open-minded view, and they can see that what we're doing is so goddamn unsustainable. Forget the language. So the change is definitely coming. And I just want to say a last thing in terms of the mentorship, that in terms of business practices, there's, why don't just adopt this as like the normal standard, right? Into your standard operating procedures, into your quality management systems. Why just don't, just adopt a mentorship program? That would be amazing. Everybody should do that.
It's the plight of every single organization, company that's out there, is the P&L sheet, your balance sheet, the profit and losses.
Exactly.
That's it. So anybody who's ever within that leadership role at the top of the pyramid has difficulty looking all the way down at the ground level. I think at least from professional standpoints, at least something that I like to impart to my students who work with me over in the clinics is start from the ground level, get dirty and get in the business itself, right on the ground level. Know what it's like for the worst person within the job and role, and build yourself up from that. Keep that focus on that goal and maintain the quality in and through from top bottom. But
if I may, there's also a lesson that I learned as a mom, is that this is a lesson that you learn how to talk to your kids, but I've noticed that it actually works talking to everyone. Like giving people total autonomy, trusting their voices and listening to them is key for them to trust you back and believe in what you're saying. So if you're a leader who does not listen to anyone else's voice but themselves, people are just know that people are just there for their paycheck at the end of the day, and not for the system or for the better good. And then later on, when something happens and you need people staying up until 5, 6 a.m. in the morning since the day before because something is up, you will find people not being able to, because it's not their cause.
Yeah. I would like to add something to that, because sometimes I think methods or how we work, our working structures our management is so complicated, like on a high level, and sometimes you only need to ask your team, how are you, how do you feel, to talk with people, and as you said, how do you communicate? I think that's a pretty tough topic, like internal communication. There are a lot of methods, systems, and Yeah, but you really need to integrate those structures inside of your company. And yeah, it doesn't matter if you have a practice or some other companies.
It's a one-dimensional space that we're looking at. If you're looking only at the sheet itself, it's one dimension.
Right.
Yes.
It's similar to how patients present it. Sometimes, some patients, and I'm speaking about myself here, when you come into the clinic, I don't really want to know what my cholesterol level is. I don't really care to know right now, so I'm just not going to check it. It's that fear as well of going in and saying, hi, how are you doing? How is the work?
Yeah.
How are things going there?
But there's always a person in the so not you are a leader because of how you are, not just because of the position you are in. So there are a lot of people who are true leaders within the community, and you will see them in your teams. You'll see someone, one or two, that everyone listens to, everyone loves, everyone trusts, even though they have no title to them, because of the way they act, because people trust them, trust their knowledge, their sight, and they know that they have their best intentions to heart. So what I'm saying is, be that leader, even though whether you have the title to be one or not. Just trust me. The biggest asset you have are the people who are working with you, not the money, not the financial assets, as much as the people who are helping you build that, whether from a governmental level or a private level.
And I think this is a very important aspect, because you have to empower your team, you know, because we talked about purpose and vision. You have to give them the opportunity to think about the purpose and the vision for their lives and also for work, to give the opportunity to combine those two aspects.
And that gives them the answer to the question, what's in it for me?
And also for the young generation, I guess, what you just said, because they have a different mindset.
Absolutely.
Sometimes a better one.
Yeah, there's actually, I've done a lot of stats. I've seen a lot of stats on that. And just the way that has increased since the last 5 years is just insane. You know, just the way as patients or as consumers, if it's regarding healthcare or the pharma industry, they have different metrics, they have different KPIs, they are looking at it completely differently. And the stats are showing that, for example, if a company does not do, might be a private company in health or life science, doesn't matter. If a company doesn't commit to transforming to a more ethical and sustainable and moral business model, they are actually, these consumers or these patients who will be the next generation of consumers for pharmaceuticals or for seeking private health care, they will simply choose not to go there because they don't reason with the brand or they don't reason how the company is being run. And there are new clear stats about that, proving that if you're not in the business to do the change now, then you're out. In 10 years, you're out, you're done.
I think one of the biggest things as well in relation to this is setting expectations early. You know, heading into medicine, you know, you're a medical student or you're even pre-med over in the States, you have this idea of what a physician is meant to be, a Grey's Anatomy type show. You know, you're going to find your great love over in the hospital, you're going to do CPR 5 times a day, and you're going to be amazing and come home and whatever, the craziness that happens on this TV show. So like setting expectations very early on as well to say, you know what, currently how the system is you are going to grind. It will be difficult. You will get through to particular aspects where you can sometimes question, is this worth the work that you do? Yeah. But setting those expectations early, in my mind's eye, helps build up a resilience as number one, understanding your capability, your deficits, your positives, but then also for the next rung, how do I impact change within the system that I'm in, based on those expectations and seeing them for myself early on?
I think for that, also, again, networking is so important. We talked about it earlier. It's so necessary to exchange knowledge, to look across borders and countries, also generations. And also when it comes to mentorship, as you said, the new generation has another intention, or maybe they are more close to themselves. Like sometimes it feels, or I have the impression that they have already a purpose and a vision, more not in a working way, but in a life way, which is pretty good. And vice versa, it's very good to have experienced professions. You know, for example, I took over one practice from very experienced speech pathologists, and we did it in a way that they are retiring step by step, like over a few years. So now we have got the chance to keep the knowledge inside of the practice and also give experience and that knowledge to the younger therapists, but they can also give, something new, inspiring aspects from therapy or just the thinking-wise to the experienced professions. Yeah. So I really love that.
I feel networking is the inherent need of everyone. That's why we are all here. I think everybody would agree that. So I feel networking, like we need to understand, it helps in knowing the people better. There are different perspectives, like there is no right perspective and wrong perspective, but we need to understand the different perspectives which are available. So networking creates that platform to understand the different perspective, which will inherently enhance our knowledge and our potential capabilities, and where exactly we can collaborate our strategic partner. Like it will create that opportunity. But it is an inherent need which will expand our thought process and where we will know different perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. That also takes a bit of personal vulnerability to understand what I know and what I don't know, and to be comfortable to say, you know what, I don't know about this at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question. Hi, how are we doing?
Or how can we both find a solution?
Yes.
That's so true.
This is a real expert for me, and also being a leader, to be vulnerable and to just be honest, you know?
Yeah.
And,
I can definitely relate, and I agree with you all. And I think in terms of sending off job descriptions, that's one thing. It doesn't really resemble reality, neither does the CV of the people who are applying. So I've been sitting with a few people, and the first thing that I say that, please tell me when you don't understand, when you don't know anything, because you can assume that you're not the only one, and that shows trust. So I always tell them this statement that be comfortable enough to be uncomfortable.
Yes.
That's a really important thing to understand, that you need to feel safe in your environment. As a leader, you need to promote a culture where the people you're working with feel safe enough to tell you when they're not safe and they're not comfortable.
Yeah. So we're kind of wrapping up slowly. We have about 3 minutes left at the moment. I kind of wanted to take the words from Tony's mouth during our last Zoom meeting, to become an impact ambassador, right?
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
So what are your...
Self-proclaimed title.
So
We're
just to
all
open it up to
jumping
us.
into that
Exactly.
train.
Onto that role right now. So I guess like each one of us, if you can give one impact statement, one statement that you would impart to a mentee, to somebody who, is
I would
communicating with
say
you and engaging with you.
the number one impact which we can make is better patient care outcomes. So when the networking is there, when like together as a community, we can be bigger and more impactful towards the patient care, like quality care, value-based care, you can name it anything, but it is the best outcome.
Focus on the quality.
So that is the
Yeah.
outcome which we are going to get.
Yes.
Okay, one takeaway message. This is pretty tough. But for me, I would say it's the creation of a purpose and a vision that's a combination of an individual goal and also a working goal, and to combine those aspects and to give the opportunity to the team?
I'll try to sum it up. So I would say, don't wait for a role. Just be the impact, be the change, be the leader you wish you had if you don't have one. And trust yourself and know that everything is figure-outable. Like, that's a motto in my life. Everything is figure-outable. Just do what I just did and go in and dig in, and you will find the solutions, and you will excel some way or another. If you are determined enough, you will find it.
Wow, I have so much to say that I'm shaking over here.
Like, I tried to sum it up.
I'm going to actually just build on something that you said about trusting yourself. And I think that we all have scars. We all have negative experiences that has been challenging and that has, to some extent, colored us. And it sort of puts a gray veil over decision-making sometimes. And I think that when you can identify what your fears are in terms of decision-making, and when you can choose to ignore them, what is left is your intuition. And I always make business decisions on my gut. People think I'm crazy. That has served me well up to date. And I think trust your instincts. Always trust your instincts. When you can separate them from your scars and your fears.
There's a lot to follow, yeah. Mine would be know yourself. When you know yourself, any challenge that's ahead is not insurmountable. Be brave to take risks, especially if it's aligned with your moral compass. If this is the direction that you know you need to go to do good and impact the world in a different way, in a better way, be brave, be confident, be powerful within it.
Can I finish with a quote?
Go. Yeah.
Steve Jobs said before he died in a long statement, and the last part of that is a quote that I like, and it says, "The people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that actually do."
They're also called impact. What was it?
Yeah.
Impact
Ambassadors.
ambassadors.
I don't know if we have some time for questions, but if anybody wanted to jump up, throw out a couple of comments. If somebody has their own impact statement that they just want to yell out right now, literally just stand up, go for it. Any hands
We blew
up?
them away. They're
So
completely.
we made everything very clear.
When we talk about leadership, mentorship, and whatever, if you have the idea which is unconventional, that comes into innovation. It's very, very difficult that people will believe in it. And one has to struggle, one has to establish that innovation, and that particular patch, it might take the whole life of that person. But then the established idea will be taken over another decades, another few generations. And as now we do that, we think of what Edison had done, what all of these researchers had done, and we are carrying the same ideas now. And in that particular patch, if someone has read the autobiography of all of these persons, you will understand that everybody has suffered a lot when they were doing these innovations. But then believing oneself is very, very important. There will be more odds in this patch. But then if you stick to that idea and if you continue with that, one day success is there. And what I have been doing in my unconventional innovation, it's a patch of 2 decades, and now I have come up to that patch where people have started believing that. And everything which I did, it was all self-funding which I did, and I'm going to talk about it in my leadership award, what I have done. But then the thing is what you were discussing about mentoring. So one has to become a mentor of oneself. When you have something unconventional to to give the persons to be, for the better world or better, better outcome in the world. So there are more odds than events. But then if you just conquer those, yes, success is definitely
100%.
there.
I mean,
Thank you.
to jump on that as well, thank you for the comment, by the way. Knowing yourself, knowing your expertise, this is a term that's kind of, it has a negative connotation in with it at least, ego. The narcissist, the egotistical, etc. You're very self-absorbed within your idea, etc. Ego is necessary for people who do want to build, not in the negative connotation, in the sense that I have enough confidence in my expertise, my skill set, and the moral compass of what I'm trying to do that I can still persist despite the scars, the insults, the challenges, the failures, the many, many, many failures that come through. I think everybody in this room has scars of and challenges of what they've experienced throughout their entire career. It's not uncommon. The difficulty is continuing to push past those challenges, those obstacles, those roadblocks. And again, if the concept, the idea, the purpose is good, we're able to drive through that. People pick up on those intuitions, not just the verbal ones, but also the non-verbal attitudes about all of us. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You see, the healthcare is a very complex system, and having to deal with, and there are different stakeholders, and having to deal with different people, different specialties, makes it even more complex. And what even makes it more problematic is that the professionals and the healthcare have to go through the structured training where they have to go through from zero level to the more advanced levels. So and in healthcare, you don't have lots of chances to make mistakes. So see, I think what makes or what would make it easy to make health leaders in the healthcare is to have a very structured programs for everybody. And in these structured programs, you have to have some curriculum about the healthcare leaders building, and having or supervising them through the 4 years or 5 years journey of training. That would make it like a slow process. And by the end of this process, hopefully, they would reach a stage where they're mature enough. They would have learned from the 4 or 5 years because they were allowed to ask questions and to consult people, but again, not make mistakes. So I think in the healthcare, having structured programs, training programs would really help create future leaders. Thank you.
That's a really good point. Sorry, forgive me. Just quickly. So I think that what you mentioned is I'm walking away from life science now thinking from the clinical perspective. So, I mean, we see this all the time, but there's also a huge benefit in the shift to generation, because the previous physicians, they were thinking from healthcare from a more dualistic perspective. You have psyche, you have soma, and the natural transition away from dualistic perspective towards the younger generation of clinical physicians also makes you more coherent and towards the culture of the organization and so on. Please.
I only wanted to add that what sometimes for me our system, not healthcare, is very complex, and I think in every country it's totally different, our healthcare systems. But what makes it sometimes different for us is that we are actually practitioners. Like, we have to treat patients, and it's so tough in real working life to communicate, to add some management structures and stuff like that, to deal with all those problems with
Absolutely.
how to deal with the next generation, what to do if we have a lack of young professionals or whatever. So I think this is also...
The organized framework is, and I think at least with medicine, it's one of the only structures that we have in play, other than a couple of other fields out there, where you have this playpen to an extent to really kind of experiment with the theoretical skill that you've learned in med school. You learn everything on paper. You have no mental image and visualization of what you're actively sitting in front of and working with. You need to build that own mental script and visualization of what that is. Yeah. Medicine is one of the only fields where you actually have that internship and playpen, ability to make mistakes, you know? I think integrating that into other aspects of the space, the commercial space, the legal space, education space, etc., giving that mentorship and apprenticeship opportunity for people to learn and to build up, make those mistakes, therefore have a better understanding when they're in physical applicability of it.
Yeah, for that, you really need a trustful environment. You know what you said.
Building on that, a lot of the medical schools are actually building in leadership programs within their curriculum for students, whether they are whatever field in the medicine they are in, because it actually helps them to identify the soft skills needed to lead, because it takes more than just understanding the medicine itself. It takes a lot of emotional intelligence, it takes a lot of communication, business intelligence, and much, much more. So, yeah, I think there's a big hope for the future.
I would love to give the opportunity for one more question, but she's staring me down as well. Is it a quick one?
One more.
Just a quick one. To Tony. Tony, you mentioned about scars in business. Could you give an example of one of the scars?
Can you come a little bit closer, please?
Could you give an example of one of the scars you've maybe had in business and what you either did about it or perhaps are dealing with it currently?
Whoa, that's sensitive. Thank you for that. I'm not going to buy you dinner tonight, so. No, seriously, I mean, the one thing for myself is to understanding. I was speaking before about intuition, and I'm referring to trusting yourself, but also allowing you to make mistakes in your judgment. That is really important, because we don't make the right calls all the time. I mean, which comes into, sort of if you have, sort of the Stone Age metrics of a winner or a loser, or how you define yourself from making mistakes. And I think that's a really important issue that, you should, the only persons who succeed are those who are committed enough. They fail like hell. Yeah. They just get up again and again and again.
Make it your hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had an experience in my recent company with some of the shareholders that they broke my heart because they strayed away from the business model and things like that. So just get up again, get up, rise, and continue your purpose.
Something I learned the hard way, but because I need it, from my scars or our scars in general, is that using language to help you, or the way, your perspective, see things differently. So let's say this happened, a mistake happened. You can, as a leader, and even when you're talking to yourself or your colleagues, and this is something that actually happened with me. It's like, okay, this is a learning opportunity. No need to point fingers. This is your mistake, my mistake. No, it's a learning opportunity. It's a problem. Let's all fix it together. Let's sit down, round table, fix it together. Learning opportunity, and then teach it. It's a teaching opportunity, a learning opportunity. You never know what comes out, and most of the time, those things come up with amazing innovation solutions that they would have never come up otherwise. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, guys. Genuinely. Amazing discussion, just again, an amazing panel as well. And thank you guys for attending as well. Feel free to come and bother us about this, literally at any point in time. I'm sure you can tell we like to talk.
We had the best moderator also.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to add my own quote on that. It's never a failure. We can always classify it as an attempt. Yeah.